Andrew, you pulled some burnt lemon peel off of that. Was it a really aggressive dry hop, man? I'd be interested to know. Peter, you're welcome. You are welcome. All right. Let's jump into the next question. This one comes from Stuart on Instagram. Hey, Adam, hope you're well. Bit of advice. In regards to mash hopping, I have a separate mash and lauter ton. Would you recommend throwing the hops into the lauter when transferring so I can keep the hops out of the kettle? I was thinking if I add them to the bed of the mash when I transfer to lauter, the hops will get too mixed up and may end up in the kettle. Okay. So you have a separate mash and lauter ton. So this is new to me because now at Sonder, they also have a separate mash ton and a separate lauter ton. So for those of us that are used to the 2-in-1 vessel, the mash tun will usually have some sort of rakes. Now, maybe paddles. That might be the better way to explain it. That will help to mix that mash. So it's just the hot water, the strike water, the grain going in. It gets mixed, and then it gets pumped over to the lauter ton. And the lauter ton will have your rakes and everything like that and your false bottom. So they're asking, would you recommend throwing the hops into the lauter when transferring so I can keep the hops out of the kettle? Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to do like the mash hopping thing, I think you could. I think you would have no problem throwing them in, maybe just even in the middle of the transfer or toward the end of the transfer of the mash going over to your lauter ton. I don't think you have to worry too much. I think as long as you get it done before your Vorlauf, because your Vorlauf should help to redistribute that particulate to a point to where they won't be running off to the kettle. I don't think you have a ton to worry about as far as some hot particulate getting over there. I don't think you should worry too much about, like over extracting polyphenols. That might be a concern by getting just a lot of extra hop matter in there. Usually we're not mash hopping that much anyways, but if you are in a situation where you're more aggressively mash hopping, maybe you're leaning on some thiolized techniques, some techniques that are utilized in the use of thiolized yeast, then yeah, I mean, maybe you will have a good amount of hops in there. But yeah, I would just get them in there as you're moving it over. And I think as you're transferring, filling the lauter ton, I think you would be just fine doing that. So yes, Stuart, thank you for the question. Andrew talking about his burnt lemon peel Sriracha Ace disaster. He went with 4 ounces and 5 gallons, which is a pretty solid dry hop. I think 1 ounce may have got me what I wanted, but I burned that recipe sheet. Yeah, it could be, man. And you know what? Maybe that thing will calm down a little bit too. When you get some of that, maybe when you get some of that dry hop character out of it, maybe that burnt character may come out of there. But yeah, we'll see. Sorry to hear about that. Live and learn, man. Live and learn.